Hi everyone, it's Laura here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm gonna show you how to create a suspended shaker card using stamps by Lawn Fawn and alcohol inks by Ranger. I am starting off with my background that I will be creating with alcohol inks, so I have a piece of Yupo paper cut at 4 by 4 inches and I'm also wearing gloves so that my hands won't get stained. I will be using my blending solution to dilute the inks and I will be using Ranger alcohol inks in turquoise and pistachio to create an ocean background. As a first step, I added some blending solution to the Yupo paper, making sure to get an even coating, and for this reason I'm also sort of moving the paper around so that the blending solution goes everywhere. And then I am coming in first with the turquoise that I added quite generously all over the area. And then to add a little bit of green to my background, I added pistachio, and this time I was a little bit more conservative with it. I also went back in with the blending solution to break up those areas a little bit and get a lighter color. And again I am moving the paper because I see that I'm getting harsh edges and this is not what I want. And at this stage I am totally experimenting with my inks since I am completely new at this, but I have to tell you these are really fun to play with. I can totally see myself getting kind of addicted to them. And I sped up the video 10 times while my inks are drying so that you get to see how these keep moving and blending with each other as they are drying out. And you can see what kind of organic and absolutely random and unpredictable results you get while playing with this media. Because I felt that my background was a little bit too flat at this point, I went back in with the turquoise first and then I added the pistachio. And I think it's really mesmerizing to see these colors move on the paper. I think I could just sit here and watch this all day. And I'm also using the alcohol blending solution to dilute the inks, but also to push them away from certain areas. And I'm once again leaving everything to dry. At this point I figured out that if I want some texture on my background, I should stop moving my paper after adding the inks, because that was blending the inks too much with each other and it was not giving me the textured look that I was going for. So I decided to add some more blending solution and not to touch this background anymore until it was completely dry. And in the end, I think I got a pretty cool look for this background. I am not sure I'll be able to ever recreate it again because these inks are really hard to control, but I will definitely be playing more with alcohol inks because they are so fun. So stay tuned for more content about them on my channel. Once my background was dry, I started working on my suspended shaker. I went ahead and prepared all the elements that I needed off camera, and you can see that I have a card base which I cut at 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches out of some teal blue cardstock. I have my alcohol ink background that I am trying to position the way I think looks best on my shaker base. And then for my shaker front, I have some white cardstock that I cut at 4 by 5 1/4 inches, where I also cut a circular opening using the Tonic Studios layering circle dies. I am now using the Tonic Studios Funky Tape Runner to adhere the alcohol ink background on the base of my shaker. And as you can see, I have quite a few images that I stamped, colored and cut, but because I ended up using just a few of those, I will show you just those ones in a few seconds. And here they are. The Hermit Crab is from the Fantastic stamp set by Lawn Fawn, and the rest of the images are from the Mermaid for You stamp set. I colored them with zig markers, and for the coral and the seaweed I used Memento dewdrops. And if you want more details about the products I used, you will find those in my blog post, which will be linked down below. I am now coating the back of my shaker front using some acetate, and for that I am using again my Funky Tape Runner by Tonic Studios. And to make sure I have enough dimension on my shaker, I will be using 2 layers of craft foam. I am using the same dye that I had used on my shaker front to trace a circle on this craft foam sheet so that I have a guide to cut out this window. And once I'm done, I will be repeating the same steps for the second craft foam sheet so that I can use these 2 panels to support my shaker. As I said at the beginning of the video, I will be creating a suspended shaker, which means that my mermaid, that will be the suspended element, will be hanging off a nylon thread that will be secured to my shaker base. And to make sure that my mermaid has enough room to swing, I will be sandwiching the nylon thread between the 2 layers of craft foam. You saw me adhere the first sheet on my card base with some tape runner, and now I am taping the nylon thread on the back of my mermaid, making sure that I have enough thread left on the top and the bottom so that I can easily mount it in place. And I found that the easiest way to do this was to first secure the thread to my work surface using some tape and then tape it onto the back of the mermaid. I guess it's a little bit difficult to see it in video, but I hope you get the hang of it. But once I have the thread secured onto the back of my mermaid, I can go ahead and adhere it to my craft foam sheet. I am adding tape to the top and the bottom of the shaker window, and I am gluing the thread in place. And the crucial bit is not to pull the thread when adhering it to your shaker, but to leave it a little bit loose so that the mermaid has enough room to swing around. Once I have the mermaid in place, I am going to glue the second layer of craft foam to the back of my shaker. And to add even more fun elements to this project, I am going to use a few confetti. I'm going to use some iridescent ones and then I will come in with some blue ones. I initially thought I would add some seed beads, but then I decided otherwise. And the confetti are great because they add sparkle, but because they are so flat, they will not interfere with the movement of the mermaid. And at this point, once I have my images glued to my background, my confetti added to it, and the mermaid ready to swing on my shaker, I can go ahead and adhere the shaker front to my card base. And I am using my fingers to make sure that the mermaid is facing upwards. Because I felt that the shaker window was a little bit too large and that made the design not really well balanced, I decided to add a frame, and for that I cut some white cardstock using 2 of the layering circle dies by Tonic Studios, and I will be nesting this frame on top of my shaker window. For my sentiment, I decided to do some embossing with white embossing powder on that same teal blue cardstock that I used for the shaker base. The sentiment is the Waving Hello sentiment in the Lawn Fawn Mermaid for You stamp set, and to create this banner I used the extended die cutting technique and the banner die in the Lawn Fawn stitched journaling card die set. I used Versamark ink to stamp the sentiment, I coated it with embossing powder by Ranger, and I melted it with my heat gun. And then as a final step, I adhered all my images and my sentiment to the card front. I first adhered the frame, and then I will go ahead and position my sentiment because that will work as a guide for the placing of the rest of the images that I have on my card. I then glued the rocks and I had them slightly overlapping the sentiment banner. And then I completed the scene with this cute hermit crab and the seaweed. Finally, because I felt that the card looked a little bit empty, I decided to add the corals and the seaweed to the bottom right of the card, and this finished off my design. And here you can see the shaker in action. I think this is a really fun card which will definitely surprise the recipient with this fun swinging mermaid, and I encourage you to give it a try. And that's it for today. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments below, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. You can visit my blog for the full list of supplies, and I'll catch you guys soon with the next one. Ciao!